Hello there. I want to welcome all of you, parents, guardians, carers. You're all welcome to join our introductory and hopefully informative and helpful welcome address. My name is John Elsmore and I'm the Director of Student Affairs at the university. And that means that I'm responsible for our student support services, many aspects of the student experience on campus, and over these last 18 months, one of a large team of colleagues who've been coordinating our response to the pandemic, and more of that later. But first, I wonder if my colleagues on screen could introduce themselves, and perhaps if we could start with Celia.
Hello, I'm Professor Celia Greenway. I'm the university's Director of Student Engagement. I'm responsible for personal academic tutoring, student representation, and I'm a member of the senior education team. And it's lovely to be speaking to you today.
And Einita.
Hi, my name's Einita Suman and I am the Director of Accommodation Operations, which is responsible for looking after all of the accommodation that we provide for our students here at the university.
And Jules.
Hello, my name is Jules and I'm the Education Officer at the Guild of Students, which is the students' union here at the University of Birmingham. I was re-elected by students earlier this year to be part of the Guild Officer team, having had the best 4 years of my life at Birmingham, firstly studying politics as an undergraduate, followed by a difficult and rewarding time last year representing students as their education officer through lockdown. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the city of Birmingham and to the university.
And Drew.
Hi everyone, my name is Drew Linforth. I'm the Interim Head of Wellbeing and Partnerships, and I have oversight for our Central Services Student Wellbeing Services teams, including mental health and wellbeing, and also working in partnership to coordinate wellbeing services across the university, including our college teams, wellbeing network, and also our community partners, external services as well.
Thank you all very much indeed. You are our panel today. And in just a few moments, I'm going to ask each of you if you could talk to one of each of three questions from your area of expertise. So I'm going to ask you all to think about what is going back to normal as the first question. The second question, to think about what have we learned from the last year that works better in the new normal. So, for example, we did this talk online last year for all of the obvious reasons, but we found that this was a more inclusive format. And so we've done it again in this way this year so that more people can join from all around the world, watch it at a time that is convenient to them. And so we've kept doing it this way. And then finally, panel, I'm going to ask you if you could share your best advice or your top tip for our audience of parents, carers and guardians. So while you're all thinking about those three questions, I'm going to pick up the baton of top tip, best advice first, because I really wanted to say something about the university's approach to being COVID secure and testing and vaccinations. So I wanted to let everybody know that we are on campus strongly encouraging all students and all staff members to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. It's absolutely the best defense against the virus. It is the best way to protect yourselves and others from becoming ill. And it is the best way that we can ensure against the disruption that many students experienced last year. We also want to really encourage every student to take a lateral flow test before they come to university for the first time, and then twice in the first week that they are here, and then to continue testing twice a week. And we want to make that as easy as possible for everyone. So we are placing a box of testing kits, and I'm sure many of you will have seen these or used these at home. We're putting a box of testing kits in every room in our accommodation. We're making them freely available across the campus, and we're going to have a supported asymptomatic testing site on the campus where students will be able to go for a test. We're also working with our NHS partners at University Hospitals Birmingham to get local, easy access to vaccinations on campus, whether that's a first dose or a second dose. And for those of you that might be in our international audience, there is good advice on our website about how to access vaccinations through the UK's NHS, our National Health Service, and also good information about equivalent second doses or recognition for your fully vaccinated status. There's good advice on our website, but also at the UK government's web pages, which you can find by searching gov.uk. We know that for many of our international community, many will be travelling to the UK, and perhaps some of you have already said your goodbyes by the time you are watching this. But we also know that many students are still facing travel restrictions, and while they might be starting their studies at home, we do hope to welcome them to Birmingham as soon as possible. On our campus, we are continuing to encourage and support the wearing of face coverings in busy indoor spaces. And that is encouraging everyone to wear face coverings in busy spaces and supporting all those students and staff members who want to continue to wear face coverings, perhaps more often. We really do believe that if we all work together and take sensible, measured precautions, that this will underpin the best prospect of us having a normal year ahead. And that is what we are planning for, a cautiously normal year ahead. So that brings us back, I think, to the first of those three questions that I'm going to ask each of our panel to respond to. And I wonder if, again, perhaps, Celia, I could start with you by asking you, what do you think is going back to normal in teaching and learning?
Well, what a positive start to the questions, John, because it's the thing that really, it feels so different this year to last year to answer. I feel really happy to be saying that I'm going to be teaching my students in person. And it will be the same for all of our students that are joining us on campus. They will have a campus experience again. So they will have their labs in person, their seminars in person, and their teaching sessions in person. They will be interactive, they will have workshop feeling, they will be actually practical and active. So I'm really looking forward to welcoming students back to campus, and I'm really looking forward to working with them in situ. So in person and meeting them. Last year I did teach on campus and I enjoyed that then. And this year I'm hoping that all of our colleagues, will have a really enjoyable experience teaching students, but more importantly, that the students joining us will really enjoy having that in-person experience. So it feels very different, doesn't it, this start to the year? And I'm very optimistic. Yes, I'm like you, I feel cautious, but at the same time, I feel very happy to be back on campus and to be teaching. I feel it's probably important to point out that although I am a sort of senior member of staff, I still teach. And I think that's the important message as well, to say that all staff that were teaching last year and indeed pre-pandemic will be back teaching this year. So students will have the same high quality education experience. When we go on to the second question, I'll talk about how that's reinforced with a different method as well. But it is true to say that that's the big change for us, that we will be back on campus and back in person teaching. So I look forward to it.
Thank you, Celia. I wonder, Jules, can I ask you next, for the Guild and the student experience, what do you think is going to be back to normal in September?
So just for some context, the Guild of Students is run by a team of officers like me who are elected by fellow students each year. The Guild is run by students, for students, and exists to help tackle any barriers that prevent them from enjoying their university experience, as well as providing lots of opportunities to meet people, learn new skills and have fun. We really want every student at Birmingham to make the most of university life. As someone from the local area, prime resident of the Black Country, my time at university has been shaped by my experience as a commuter student and therefore by attending my local university. I've loved seeing students from all around the world come to Birmingham and make it their home, and it's my pleasure to welcome them to this great city. I'm really excited for the opportunities that the Guild and the university together can offer students as we move back to a more normalised student experience for Welcome Week and the rest of the year. I've loved my time at UOB, but my experience wouldn't have been half as fun or transformative if it wasn't for the amazing opportunities provided by the Guild. Whilst representing students sits at the core of what we do, we spend just as much time ensuring students have fun. Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, as has been mentioned, has had a significant impact on our student start to university life, but we're looking ahead to days and nights where we can safely meet together, play together, sing, dance, make our voices heard together. And in contrast to last year's Welcome programme, we're looking forward to hosting a huge range of events in person again, from our Freshers' Fair on Monday and Tuesday to the Societies' Fair for the remainder of the week, where students can come along once again in person and meet our fantastic society committee members, all outdoors in a COVID-safe setting in our marquees and outdoor spaces. We're also reopening our hospitality venues, nightclub and evening activities on campus for students to take advantage of, something that was sorely missed last year. Student groups will again be hosting a huge range of events in the Guild building and all across campus, in line with government advice to make our members start the year so fantastic. So a lot to look forward to for sure.
Thanks very much, Jules. Einita, what's going to be back to normal in accommodation?
Yeah, so I'm really pleased to kind of go on the continued vibe of positivity. A lot's going to be going back to normal. We have our student experience scheme, so the hall reps and student mentors, which will be back in force and having lots of programmed activity to welcome students back. And those events are going to be shaped around making friends, introducing you to the area, getting you more comfortable with the university. So those are quite big, because last year we couldn't really put on the fun that we wanted to in a COVID safe way. So everything had to really alter. And I think on main campus, the food offer is actually going to be quite different this year. We have focused on local sustainable products, and we've got a farm shop which will be launching. We will have a chippy. There'll be lots of fun things to do on campus, and I think I would just focus on that word fun. It will be very, very fun. And on top of that, we've got our site teams based in accommodation who are 24/7. So we actually never close. So if you do need any support, we're always there. And I think that's huge for us to be able to interact with our students and our flats as normal.
No, that's terrific. Thank you, Einita. And many members of the panel, you might have heard that for the first time about the new chippy, which is opening on campus. Einita, something for you to take away and think about, because Jules mentioned he's a Black Country resident, as am I. Battered chips. It's a Black Country thing. I don't know whether that's something we're going to be introducing for extra authenticity, as other people in other parts of the country watching this are going, battered chips. Yeah, very much so. Black Country thing. Drew, what's going to be going back to normal in our world of wellbeing?
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to say that we'll be offering face-to-face support after a period of time away over the last few months due to the restrictions that we faced in England, and we'll be doing increasingly so during the first part of the term. We'll start with a large wellbeing marquee during the welcome and arrivals weekend and week, where students will be able to attend and meet all the different teams that we have on site available to support student wellbeing, as well as lots of different activities throughout the week to help engage with the community and their wellbeing. And that will continue through to the remainder of the academic year. So all of our teams will be offering face-to-face appointments and some drop-ins 5 days a week on campus. We'll be returning to campus, and we're absolutely delighted to be doing so. So whether they're primarily appointment-based opportunities, such as through our college wellbeing teams or our mental health and wellbeing team, or whether it's drop-in based, so students will be able to access on the day face-to-face support through our Pause at UOB hub, which is delivered in partnership with our local NHS trust and the Children's Society. So very much looking forward to seeing lots of friendly faces on campus again as soon as possible.
Thanks very much, Drew. Thank you all for thinking about that. And so moving on from what's going back to normal, the second question we said we'd talk about is, and what have we learned? What have we all learned from the last year that works better that we're going to keep in this so-called new normal, and we're going to go perhaps a slightly different way around the room this time. Einita, could we start with you on what we've learned and what we're keeping?
Yes, absolutely. So what we did last year is we staggered arrivals. So we had circa 7,000 students arrive across multiple weekends to really make sure everyone had the safe space to move in and they felt comfortable. And that's something we're retaining. It worked incredibly well. It was a lovely way for people to move in. There was no rush about it. So the staggered arrivals is going to stay in place. If you haven't booked your time slot yet, please do. We've got lots of time slots available. And I think the other thing that we are definitely retaining is the support available for anybody who needs to self-isolate on arrival. Last year, it worked incredibly well. We had food parcels, virtual activities. We had lots of ways to kind of stay in touch with campus, even though you had to pretty much self-isolate for 10 days. So that's staying in place. And if anything, we've enhanced the offer to make it a little bit more inclusive. So if you are coming from overseas, we've tried to provide some home comforts for you, which we couldn't procure last year. So those are the two main things that we're retaining in accommodation for this year.
Brilliant, thank you. Drew, can we come back to you on this one?
Yeah, so one of the things we learned really quickly from our students actually was that they really valued the opportunity to be able to access services flexibly and accessibly because of the virtual delivery that we were having at the time. So because of that, one of the things that we're really keen to remain with is that all of our services will still be available to students virtually, whether that be Zoom appointments, email, phone, and various other methods that don't require students necessarily to be on campus. And because of that, we've also introduced a brand new service over the last couple of months called You Be Heard, which is the university's mental health and emotional health helpline, where students are able to access from across the globe this particular service that essentially gets you in contact with a counsellor 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And you can do that via phone and also live chat as well. So what that means is that students are able to access support at any point from anywhere that is specific to the university and the various different university support mechanisms that are in place as a result of that. And one of the things that's really key is that for students that aren't able to quite get to us because of the travel restrictions before the start of term, they will also have access to this service. It's available in 30 different languages, plus British Sign Language. And also there is an opportunity for up to 6 sessions of counselling where that's appropriate also. So we've really scaled up the accessibility for our students and made sure that it's available globally.
Thanks, Drew. That's terrific. Celia.
I think it's true to say that just from these conversations, it's obvious that as an institution, we've learned a lot. And, you know, we're a university. We like to know what works and what doesn't work. So throughout last year, we made sure that we asked students what bits of their learning they were enjoying and what bits we could do more of and what bits weren't working. So that's the first thing. We did more asking students than we've ever done before and developed ideas with them. And that's a distinct change because before we sort of did things and then asked them afterwards what they thought. So the pandemic actually led to more student involvement in their learning. The key thing that we did as a huge initiative, the whole institution working together, was to ensure that students had a regular contact point with their personal tutor. Now, every student who joins UOB is assigned a personal academic tutor. That tutor stays with them for 3 years. It's a huge commitment for the member of staff. But actually last year we made it an even bigger commitment because we insisted that all members of staff and all students met together on a regular basis. And indeed throughout last year we met every week. So I met my students online every week. And this worked really, really well. And we've retained aspects of that approach for this year. So we're still going to have the regular online meetings. Now, you can join the online meetings from wherever you are. So wherever you are in the globe, whatever you're doing, if you're having to socially isolate, you can join them. And that's the reason for keeping them online. We, in fact, were awarded a national and international prize from the UK Association of Advisors and Tutors for this approach. They think we gave our students the most outstanding support in the sector because of this innovative approach. So student evaluations were really positive, but from my point of view as well, staff enjoyed meeting. So I hope that enjoyment of working together as a community online works. So sometimes online working does actually work better than meeting in person because it enables everybody to be able to join in wherever they are. So the other thing that we really learnt was that we didn't need to do exams all the time to test people, that we actually didn't need to get everybody together in a great big hall and make them sit in exam conditions to assess their learning. So that's proved very successful and very effective with students. So I can't see that we will return to an examined element for everything. We may retain some of the things that we've learnt this year from that. So for example, I used to do a written exam with my students. I now do an online portfolio that they can take to their job with their employer. And actually it assesses their knowledge far better than the exam ever did. So we've learnt along the way to do things that are more appropriate actually. And I suppose the final thing is to return to that online theme. Obviously, last year we had to move our learning online very rapidly, but as the year progressed, we got better at it. We actually knew how to put small, snappy things online to support learning. Now that material will still be there. And actually we can return to online learning if we have to. That's something to reassure parents that we can return. It's all still there. But the important thing is that it's there as an extra this year, that students can look at things to support their learning. And it's not instead of, it's actually an addition. And I think it's really good that we've actually learned more about how students learn online. And I think for some students, for the first time ever, they felt they can go back, they can repeat, they can question. We've had a lot of online messaging boards and those have worked really, really successfully. So in essence, we've learnt what works and we're going to do more of it.
Thank you, Celia. And then finishing off on this topic, Jules.
So over the last 18 months, many of our services have moved online, and as campuses reopening, we also see the importance of retaining the accessibility of those online events and services, which is why during Welcome Week, we're hosting a virtual welcome fair and other online activities and events which students will be able to access from all around the world. Similarly, our student societies are being supported to run events both online and in person as we move forward, keeping that accessibility for our students overseas or learning remotely or in self-isolation. Through student groups and volunteering, we offer hundreds of different student-led societies and associations for students to get involved in, from a cappella to yoga, esports to Veilfest, student media opportunities for budding journalists, chances to perform in musical theatre productions, sketch comedy, student bands. And as COVID restrictions have eased, I'm looking forward to many of these great events happening in person again. The Guild also runs the student reps system. Our student reps work with the university to find solutions to the problems raised by fellow students and act as representatives for the student body. And the Guild is here to represent students' academic interests, and we're committed to making sure that everybody has the opportunity to have a say in how their education should be shaped. And this platform gives a fantastic opportunity to take a lead for your cohort and gain valuable skills and experience.
Thanks very much, Jules. I wonder then if we could turn to perhaps asking you, the panel, for that last best piece of advice, your top tip that you would give to our audience of parents, carers, guardians. And I think for this way around, I'm going to start. Drew, what's your top tip to our audience today?
So I think I have a couple. The first one is for parents, carers and guardians to access our World of Wellbeing web pages and become familiar with the wealth of support that's available at the university. We have lots of different services that suit a whole host of needs for students, from around basic wellbeing and practical support, advice and guidance, right the way through to specific mental health support. So please feel free to access that so you have an awareness of, and equally encourage students to access those services if you have any concerns. We're really limited, of course, to what we can disclose, which is essentially nothing about any of our individual students. But if you do have specific concerns, you are welcome to contact the university, and we'll provide our best advice and guidance on how best we can support the students here. Secondly, I'd also recommend having a look at the video on the Parents and Guardians site, which is about how students feel when they started uni and some of the stories that they've told kind of pre-pandemic. It's a really helpful resource, about 4 minutes long, and will give you lots of different experiences from students who've been there and done that, and noticing, of course, that sometimes students do take a little bit of time to settle in, and that's okay. And ultimately, there's a lot of support that's available for them to access.
That's great. Thanks very much, Drew. And I know the video you're talking about. It's on the webpage. It's a really nice one to have a look at. Jules, what is your top tip? What's your best advice?
My best bit of advice is when visiting Birmingham, enjoy some of the city. I know food has been a bit of a theme of the conversations we've had. Birmingham is very famous for its Balti triangle, a lot of great Indian curries in the local area. I couldn't recommend trying one of those enough. But just generally, as we move out of restrictions, everyone at the Guild is really excited for activities to get back to normal, and for our students to take advantage of the great opportunities that our building, our services and our volunteers have to offer. All this while retaining the flexibility and accessibility of all that we've seen grow through our online platforms and services. And I know that the Guild and the student body are going to do some incredible things together over the next year. And I, for one, can't wait to get started.
No, thank you, Jules, and absolutely a really good plug for the city of Birmingham. Birmingham is a beautiful city, and actually we haven't mentioned, which means we'll get in trouble if we don't mention it. It's the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham next year, and we, the university, are hosting some parts of that, including the Athletes Village, but also some of the sports. But it also means that Birmingham is about 80% of the way through a big piece of investment and development in the city centre, and from the university's own train station on campus. It's 7 minutes, I think, on the faster train into Birmingham city centre, where you get off at Grand Central Station, where Tom Cruise was last week, in fact. So a home to not only the people of Birmingham, but international movie stars. So I don't think I've forgotten where I am. I think I'm going to do Einita and then Celia to finish us off. Einita, what is your top tip, your best advice?
Before I go on to my top tip, I just mentioned that the athletes will be staying at the Vale, which is directly behind me. It's where 3,000 of our students will reside this coming year. And also it's a bit of a nod to our sporting facilities. So if you haven't signed up for your membership, look out for that, because actually our sports facilities are fantastic here. I think lots of us on the panel are users of it. So in true form, I have a couple like Drew, but I'll try and keep it focused. I think for parents and carers, just reminding yourselves, this is a huge transition for your young adult. And if you can give them some space to really, become that adult that we will absolutely treat them like. When you do check in with them, try and lead with, how's your course going first, and then ask about a social life. Because that's the part I know you want to know about. You want to know, have they made friends? Are they comfortable? And if you sense any kind of concern or hesitation from your young adult, put them in touch with all the support services that Drew mentioned, because we really are here to help. There's loads of us. And the university did a fantastic job last year in the hardest time that you could imagine. So, the services really are there to be used. The last, and it does centre around food, is, these young adults will be moving into a flat or a house with people they don't know or they don't know much of. And I think if you can encourage them to make a meal together, that really does bond a flat. We have chefs and lots of skilled people that can help with recipes and cook-alongs. But I think if you encourage them to cook as a flat, you also know that they're having a home-cooked meal. So there's a little bit of solace there.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Anita. And Celia, your advice, your top tip or tips.
Well, I think what Anita said is really true, that I recognise actually as a parent that this is a bigger transition this year for parents than it's ever been before. You've perhaps seen more of your children than you anticipated seeing in their sixth form. So I'm aware that, you know, you've seen more of them. It will seem a bigger wrench them leaving. But I want to sort of reassure you, as a parent whose child came to Birmingham, we do care about your child. We do want the best for them. And I think to say that it's not the same. We're not a big school. You won't get a report. You won't have a parents' evening. But what you can do is to still be a parent or a carer to your child. So although Anita said give them some space, it's still important to ask them things. So do ask them, have they seen their tutor? And yes, you will be concerned about friends because you're concerned all the way through your child's education. Are they playing nicely with other children? And it's the same when they go to university. So don't forget to say to them, what did you do in your seminar? I've talked about seminars, labs, workshops. So use that terminology and say to them, when is your first assessment due? But don't ask them about the grade. Let them tell you, because I think that's the big difference. You're not going to get that end of year report. You need them to tell you, because actually you can fail when you're a student and you don't necessarily want to tell your parents. And that's part of that moving away. But at the same time, be intuitive. If you haven't heard from them, ring them. We all have mobile phones. I mean, my daughter's now grown up, but I have to say, if she didn't speak to me every day, I probably would be a little bit worried. So, you know, I think there's that happy medium between really being, oh, I need to speak to my child, to sort of thinking, oh, I haven't heard from them a bit, because you will experience, if it's your first child going to university, you experience that sort of, oh, I've got some space, I'll turn their room into a gym. Yes, there's all of that, but there's still the, you are their mum and dad, you are their carer. So don't wave goodbye and think, oh, that's them gone. Think, this is a new part of their educational experience. I sort of can be involved, I'll be involved in a different way. And as all of us have said, don't think of it so much as sort of losing a child, but gaining a city, gaining a different experience and gaining somewhere else to visit. I have to say, because I work here, I didn't visit my daughter. I thought, oh, she'll be fine. And she said, Mum, everybody else's parents have come to visit them and you haven't. So remember to sort of gauge what your child wants. And they actually probably would quite appreciate you taking them out for a meal. You know, it's an expensive business. We've got lovely restaurants. It's celebrate together. But yes, we are here, we will look after them, and we do care, and we are really, really interested in our subjects. We love teaching, we actually enjoy the marking. You know, we want to work together to make it the best experience for them.
Thank you very much, Celia, and thank you, Anita, and thank you, Jules, and thank you, Drew. That was really useful, really interesting. Thank you, all of you, for watching along. I hope you found that to be useful and interesting. A couple of people mentioned over the last half hour or so about the information that's available on our webpage. I think that's a really good piece of advice, because most of our web pages are open to everybody. There's very little that is behind any sort of protected or password protected environment. It is there for you to look at. I definitely recommend the information that is available on our welcome pages. That includes the term dates. So if you are packing your child, your young adult, off to university in the next week or so, the term dates will tell you when they're due to come back again, if you haven't made arrangements for them to come back in the meantime. But also on our parents, guardians, carers web pages is a link to the Related Parents Facebook site. So if you've got any particular questions that you wanted to ask, then that is a place for you to ask questions. But my best advice would be, if you've got any questions, ask your student or your young adult first, because they're probably the ones that need to know the answers to those questions. But if you do need to get in touch with us, those Facebook pages are certainly one way of doing that. Thank you all very much for watching. Thanks again to everyone on the panel. Thank you, and I guess it's a goodbye from all of us. Thank you. Goodbye.